Thank you very much.
Are activities like poker, listening to heavy metal and being raised in a non-Buddhist environment with attachment to family and friends contradictory to being a Buddhist? And how can this environment be integrated to Buddhism?
I think anything that anyone does, or the background from where anybody comes, isn't contradictory to Buddhism. As long as the person who is relating to it, let's say for example heavy metal music, there's nothing, from a Buddhist perspective, there's nothing wrong with liking it or playing with it. But at the same time, that activity, if it destroys the human spirit, the human nature, of the ability to think about others, if that is then being completely overpowered or overwhelmed by that activity, then we can say that that activity is, I wouldn't say contradictory to Buddhism, but nevertheless I think it can be an obstacle to what Buddhism is trying to teach. Because Buddhism teaches about thinking about others, the welfare of the others, being kind to the others. And any activity that is totally absorbing the person into such a state of rigidity and introvertedness that is not able to think about the others, then it can become an obstacle. But which doesn't have to be music, which doesn't have to be poker, which doesn't have to be your background. It could even be something like meditation. If the meditation is being oriented towards self-absorption rather than altruism, then that is, I think, more harmful from the perspective of Buddhism to a human mind. So I would say the short answer is they are not contradictory to Buddhism as long as it does not impede the person's wisdom mind to be altruistic.
Can you give an advice for young adults and young families how to best raise kids?
Buddhism teaches about 3 levels: relative, absolute, and the non-dual. So a lot of times people get lost in the realm of absolute and the non-duality and ignore relative responsibility. If a person has no samsaric attachments and has the potential of resting the mind in absolute, non-conceptual, non-dual, absolute truth, then I think that's excellent. But those who cannot do that must never neglect relative responsibility. Parenting is a huge relative responsibility. Although in all appearance it looks conceptual, but nevertheless I think as Buddhists, caring correctly for the children, parenting children correctly is very important. Sometimes Buddhist parents, in their pursuit of meditation, I think do not care or realize the responsibility they have towards the children, which is very unfortunate. So your own personal meditation is one, and then being able to really give lots of love and support and good guidance to the children is absolutely necessary. So if you say something like, I have given birth to a child, as a father and a mother you have a child, but now you're going to be non-conceptual and not care for the child, that would be very dangerous to do. You cannot, I think, visualize or meditate your child to be emptiness in nature or something like that. So I think when you have a child, you have to look at it as a relative responsibility and give proper guidance and love and nurture the child so that the best human abilities of the child can be brought about as a parent. In that way, you can see sometimes that bringing up of your child correctly may be the greatest bodhisattva activity that you have. And now, what are you doing with this blog?
We wanted to make connection between young generation of Buddhists and young adults with His Holiness Karmapa. We were inspired by this planned visit. Suddenly it grows and grows, and so many people join, and we get more ideas and how we can develop the project.
Very good, very good. Social awareness in Buddhism is a very important topic. You know, Buddhist teachings tend to become very intellectual, and people feel, especially the younger generation, feels very distant from the philosophy. So I think social responsibility and creating relative awareness, I think, is very, very crucial. And you have, you know, His Holiness who's very keen in the young people and young adults. So I think it's so marvelous what you're doing. So
Thank
I
you.
hope
Thank
you
you
all
very much.
success.